This is lesson 19 in Algebra 2, value word problems, and AA means AAA. Alright, so we'll start out with the value word problems. Now, value word problems are a group of problems where one or more statements in the problems are about the value of something. So when we're talking about the total cost, or how many nickels and dimes and quarters, or if I have a handful of change and it's $3.75, how many nickels, how many dimes, how many quarters do I have? So it all has to do with, number one, system of equations. So we're going to come up with two equations for each of these word problems. But on top of that, we're also going to have to remember that if I've got 50 cents in nickels in my pocket, then I have 10 nickels. And I have 10 nickels because I have a value of nickels that's 5 cents. And in order to get 50 cents, I have to have 10 times the value of the nickel. So I'm going to have to, as far as finding out how much money I have in change, I'm going to have to, first of all, know how many of the coins I have times the value of each of the coins. So we're going to look at some of these. So let's just go ahead and start with example 1 here. And we've got some guy or girl with a funny name, Karamegu. I don't know where in the world they get these names. It's ridiculous. Had 50 nickels. Oh, I guess it's a he. How many did he have? Had 50 nickels and dimes. Okay, so if you added up the number of nickels, so let's use this little subscript here, number of nickels plus the number of dimes, we have 50 coins. Alright, so if we add up the number of each of those, we have 50 coins. We have no idea what they're worth, but we know how many we have. The value was $4. So that means if we took the number of nickels times the value of a nickel, so let's just say 5 cents, plus the number of dimes, and we take the value of the dimes, we have $4. Okay, so notice what is appearing up here, and this is very, very important or you'll get the wrong answer. If I'm not going to use decimals to determine my nickels and dime value, I'm just going to put 5 and 10, then I cannot use a decimal over here. If I decide to use a decimal, 0.05 times the number of nickels plus 0.10 times the number of dimes, then I can use my 4.00. Then I can put my decimal in. So if I have decimals on the value of the coins here, I have to have a decimal here, and it's always going to be 2 over from the right, just like these are always going to be 2 over from the right. So it's up to you on whether you want to use decimals or not. You're going to get the same answer either way. It's just at the end, you may have to put the decimal back on. But you know, you've done this long enough to know that the decimal is always 2 over from the right for each of these. So let's go ahead and see if I can. Nope, it's not going to let me. There we go. Alright, so I have this times this equals this. And when I add the number up, I get that. Alright, so what I'm probably going to do, it seems like it would be the thing that makes the most sense, is I'm going to set either the number of nickels or the number of dimes, isolate it, get it all by itself. So let's do the number of nickels. It wouldn't matter which one you used, and I'm going to subtract the number of dimes from each side. And so now, whenever I see an NN, I will put this in its place. So 5 times 50 minus number of dimes plus 10 times the number of dimes. So notice why I did that is so that I would have the same variables. Number of dimes here, number of dimes there. So I can start combining. So I have 250 minus 5 ND plus 10 ND equals 400. So notice I just distributed the 5 to the 50, 5 to the minus ND. D, number of dimes. So I get 250. These two combined would be a plus 5. I'm going to subtract 250 here, subtract 250 here, and I get 5 times the number of dimes equals 150. Divide by 5, divide by 5, and the number of dimes is going to be 30. 150 divided by 5. So if the number of dimes is 30, then I can look up here at the top and realize the number of nickels has to be 20. And is that what they wanted? Yes. How many of each coin did they have? So I know there's going to be 20. Okay, so I use systems of equations for this. Okay, so let's look at example 2. The fishmonger sold codfish. A fishmonger is somebody that sells fish. Sold codfish for 6 pence each. We don't care what a pence is. We just know it's, if you want to use the word penny, go ahead and use that. 6 pence each, and mussels for 1 pence each. If Harriet bought a total of 26 items and spent 86 pence, how many codfish did she buy? Okay, we know that the number of codfish plus the number of mussels was 26. So we know that equation. We also know that she spent 86 pence. So we'll just use a P for pence. So that means she bought codfish. So 6 pence times the number of codfish. That would have been how much she spent there. And how much? 1 for the mussels. 1 pence times the number of mussels. So when she got out her money, she bought 86 pence worth of codfish and mussels. And she got that by taking the value of each times how many she bought. So again, we're going to set that equal to 26, or to I guess number of codfish or number of mussels, but it's just easier to find NC because then we can just subtract NM from both sides. So now whenever we see an NC, we're going to put 26 minus NM. So 6 times 26 minus NM, so we just replace that, plus 1 times NM equals 86 pence. Alright, so let's take 6 times 26 and get 156 minus 6 NM plus 1 NM equals 86. So 156, negative 6 plus 1 is a negative 5. Take away 156 here, take away 156 here, those go away. And if you remember, when you're adding two numbers where the signs are different, you take the difference between the two and put the sign of the largest number on the answer. So that equals 70, in fact negative 70, so negative 5 NM equals negative 70. Divide both sides by negative 5. And that is, let's see, 15, 16, 17. Trying to do this in my head. 70 divided by 5 is 14. 70 divided by 5 is 14. So the number of mussels that she bought, or he bought, or whatever, was 14. Number of codfish then, because it has to equal 26, was 12. I add those up, I get 26. Alright, the book did it a little bit different. They took the equation that we started with, and rather than use substitution, they used elimination. They multiplied this entire thing by well, I guess they did multiply the entire thing. They didn't need to. Let me rewrite it here. What they did, and it might have been even easier than what I did, but you get the right answer either way. Okay, and if they were to, since these are the same, we can eliminate those. So I'm just going to subtract, because a positive nm minus nm is going to be 0. So I'm going to subtract. So that's going to be negative 5nc, number of codfish. This goes away. 26 minus 86 is going to give me 60 minus 60. So number of codfish is going to be 60 divided by 5. They're both negative, so I get a positive 12. And so that goes up here, and then I know that 14 will go in there. So I guess that's another way of doing it that looks to be simpler. Okay, next video will be over angle. Angle means AAA.